newspapers we have in the country and the various news portals we have in the country. And I'm going to try to take you through a number of things that have come up that I believe we ought to apprise ourselves with. One has to do with the court case, and the other has to do with coronavirus and how we are dealing or addressing that particular issue here. I'm going to be showing you, walking you through a series of events that have happened. For instance, in respect of the coronavirus, you do know what have transpired. Because I've received a number of calls, about 10 calls just this morning alone, of people complaining about the fact that in the various villages that we have in this country, they are not having PPEs. The students have not been given any PPEs whatsoever. And so it is very difficult for them to go to school. Now, my understanding was that, we made available some cash to be able to address some of these issues. My understanding was also that we had made preparations, which means that we had created a platform where we'd have a lot of PPEs for the students, and also that they'll be able to go to school without any fear or favor. But it appears that in the various villages we have in this country, or in the hinterlands, we have left them to their fate, and we don't know how they are going to be able to deal with the second phase of coronavirus, which is a new strain that is ravaging the world and that is killing as many people as possible. I'm sure you are aware that this morning the active case count has skyrocketed to about 2,000, and it's not a joke anymore. So my question is, now schools have been reopened, students have gone back to school, but we have not made any provisions whatsoever to ensure their safety. Now, where the complaint here is that most of the students who have gone back to school have not been given PPEs, i.e. the nose masks, the hand sanitizers, etc. And it is very dangerous, the path that we are charting. And it is so, particularly within the villages. It appears that we have neglected them. I don't know whether they are part of this nation or not. We have ostracized them. We found a way of ostracizing them. We found a way of not dealing with their primary concerns, which has to do with that which you are all going through, i.e. coronavirus. So we're going to be going into that even before we get into the newspapers. Now, yesterday, I'm sure you are also very much aware that the Supreme Court sat in respect of the election petition that was sent to the Apex Court by the petitioner, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, through his lawyers, lead counsel being Chachu Chikata, and Tony Letha and a few others. Now, let me take you through what happened in court yesterday. And so, former President Mahama, through his lawyers, wanted some reliefs to be addressed before proceeding. And let me quickly take you through the request to inspect EC documents. So it's part of discovery. Discovery, if you're a lawyer, I'm sure you would know what discoveries are. So it's more like, both lawyers having a conversation about, some things that would be needful for the trial proper. So these are more like pre-trial arrangements. So discoveries are available so that, and it's for common law practitioners. They are available so that people can inspect documents. People can also raise some questions, which questions has to be responded to by the counsels for the respondents. And so, it's part of the process. Now, the sole purpose or sole aim of discoveries is to ensure that we don't have, a lengthy trial, because then all the other issues would have been addressed. Now, this was the questions that John Dramani Mahama, I think that at them now you can flash it on the screens so our viewers can get the opportunity to watch. So let me take you through the request to inspect documents, all right? And this was in the Superior Court of Judicature in the Supreme Court of Ghana. It was, writ number is there, Article 64 of the 1992 Constitution and Supreme Court Rules 1996, CI 16, as amended by CI 74 and CI 99, amended presidential election petition, presidential election held on the 7th of December 2020. And this is John Dramani Mahama against Electoral Commission, which is the first respondent, and Nana Danko Akufo-Addo, who is the second respondent. And the The headline is request to inspect documents. Request to inspect document. Now, take notice that the petitioner in this action requires first respondent being Electoral Commission, to within 3 days of the service of this notice produce the following documents for inspection by the petitioner, who is John Dramani Mahama or his counsel, and to permit petitioner or his counsel to take copies of same. Now, the documents, the inspection of which is required are: 1, the originals of the constituency presidential election results collation forms, which is Form 9 for all constituencies in Ghana. For all constituencies in Ghana. 2, the originals of the constituency presidential election results summary sheets, which is Form 10 for all the constituencies in Ghana. The originals of the regional presidential election result collation forms, which is Form 11 for all regions in Ghana. The originals of the regional presidential election results summary sheets, Form 12 for all regions in Ghana. 5, the original of the declaration of the presidential results form, which is Form 13, the records of the alleged update to the purported declaration of presidential election results on the 9th of December 2020 of the results of the 4 constituencies in the Greater Accra region, dated in Accra on this 18th day of January 2021, signed Tonelitha, solicitor for petitioner. Solicitor's license is there. Received by the Registrar Supreme Court, Accra, a copy each to be served on respondents or their solicitors, and copied, Justice Amenuvo and Associates Akutuampao, Akufo-Addo Prempeh, and co. So this was the request that was made by former President John Dramani Mahama through his lawyers in a process called discoveries. Called discoveries. Now, very soon I'll explain to you what discoveries are and what goes into discoveries. All right. Now, this is what the court said in respect of this request that was made by the petitioner, and I think it's instructive that we go through that so that viewers will best appreciate what the position of the court was in respect of. So we'll go to the ruling. And let me just skip all the, the things that I've said already. Of course, we know who the petitioner is. We know who the first respondent is. We know who the second respondent is. And we know who the counsels are in respect of this matter. Now, the ruling. So, listen to the ruling carefully. Listen. The petitioner or applicant has prayed this court to grant the application to serve interrogatories. The basis for the application, as argued by learned counsel for the petitioner applicant, is to assist the court to narrow issues for the trial of this petition. Interrogatories under common law is discretionary. So listen to the word discretion. Discretionary. It should be granted or refused when all the circumstances are taken into consideration. It should be noted that the questions seek to elicit answers to the issues raised by and the reliefs sought in the petition. Interrogatories must be relevant to the issues and relate to the matters in controversy between the parties, in this case the petitioner and first respondent. The court is of the opinion that the crucial issue of relevancy has not been established in this application. Reference was made to the 2013 election petition titled Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo and 2 others versus John Dramani Mahama and 2 others, in which an application to serve interrogatories was granted by this court. However, subsequent to 2013, several statutory amendments have been made by CI 99 of 2016, which has restricted the practice and procedure of this court as regards election petition. Indeed, Rule 69C4, which is Clause C, subclause 4, of the Supreme Court amendment rules CI 99 directs the expeditious disposal of the petition and sets timelines for this court to dispose of the petition. It implies that even amendments ought not to be sought and granted, as well as joinder of parties. Subsequent statutory amendments pointed out after 2013 have provided us with new procedural regime and strict timelines. We are strictly bound to comply with CI 99, and therefore we will not apply Order 22 of CI 47 of 2004 in this circumstance. We accordingly refuse to grant the application, and same is accordingly dismissed by court. Let the issues for determination be filed by tomorrow, which is today, before 9:30 a.m. Hearing of the petition is adjourned to 9:30 a.m. on the 20th day of January 2021, which is today. All right, so it's very instructive. Now, you know that the Chief Justice is the one sitting on the case together with some other very learned judges and justices of the Supreme Court. Now, what it means is that the request that was made by John Dramani Mahama through his lawyers were denied. Okay, so the court said that we should allow the process to go. You will get the opportunity to cross-examine the parties in this matter so that every information that you need will be elicited through that process in court. And therefore, the idea that you want to narrow the case such that, you know, we will not prolong the process is not a matter that ought to be decided by the petitioner in this case, and that, you know, interrogatories are discretionary. Discretion means it's at the will of the judge. So the judge will look at the case, will, you know, look at, you know, the other variables relative to the case, and will decide whether or not, in fact and in law, granting that relief, okay, will be material to the substantive case, and in which case the court has decided that it is not at all, you know, incidental to the substantive case. Now, after the court's ruling, a very good friend of mine, Professor Kweku Azar, also came out to try to explain what interrogatories are, what discoveries are, what goes into discoveries, and how crucial they are for the purposes of, you know, engaging in legal processes that will bring out, you know, judgments that will be acceptable to all and by all. Now, in his post on Facebook, he says, the court has unanimously denied the petitioner's prayer for leave to serve interrogatories to the first respondent on grounds that they do not meet the critical issue of relevancy. So, critical issue of relevance, which means that, you know, the issues therein are not relevant. You understand? Relevant at this material moment to the substantive case. Now, the case has been adjourned, right? Now, he goes on to say that this is a fancy way of saying that the petitioner wanted to ask the first respondent some questions as part of the discovery process, and the court denied the petitioner's request because the plaintiff did not establish that the questions were relevant. Discovery, and this is the definition of discovery in law. Discovery is a vehicle used by parties to gather information in preparation for a trial. So these are part of the pre-trial rules or pre-trial processes that one can go through in order that, you know, both parties will be aligned relative to the matters that are sent before court. Its purpose is to allow the parties to obtain full knowledge of the issues and facts of the lawsuit. In this regard, it saves time by allowing the parties to narrow the issues and to weed out extraneous matters. Now, discovery can take many forms, including requests for admissions, production of documents, and interrogatories. Do not be fooled by the nomenclature. Interrogatories are written questions propounded by one party to be answered by an adversary. Request for admissions is a set of statements sent from one party to an adversary for the purpose of having the latter admit or deny the statement or allegations. Now, the production of documents, which otherwise is known as POD, is a request by a party for the adversary to produce some documents, while parties can discover as a matter of right by using the request for admissions and the production of documents. Parties can discover through interrogatories only by leave of court, hence the petitioner's prayer. Now, our courts are required to allow only the questions, which is interrogatories, which they consider necessary, either to dispose fairly of the cause or matter or to save costs. This is in sharp contrast to other jurisdictions where interrogatories are a right and are liberally used to allow the parties to build evidence for the case. To sum up, the court did not allow the petitioner to ask the questions of course Notice that this does not mean the questions cannot be asked during the trial. On a lighter note, Justice Amegache provided, okay, right, so this one is not really incidental to that, but the point is that interrogatories are part of the discovery process, production of documents and references and all of that, questions to be asked and answered and things like that. These are processes that allow for a smooth process to go on in court, so that we will expedite the process and we will weed out irrelevant materials that will not be incidental to the substantive matter in court. So it's very, very crucial that we educate ourselves this morning in respect of this matter. Now, let me take you quickly to the empaneling of the judges. And I have the diagram here, and Adam can flash that diagram on the screen so the viewers can be apprised with the empaneling of the judges. So we have, no, not this one, Adam, the previous one. So we have the empaneling of the judges, not this one, the other diagram. So the other diagram. So go back to the other diagram. Yes, this one. So we have Justice Enini Yeboah, who is the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, number 1. Number 2, we have Justice Yao Apo. Number 3, we have Samuel K. Mafusao. Number 4, we have Nene Amegache. Number 5, we have Professor Ni Ashikoti, JSC. Number 6, we have Mariama Owusu, JSC. Number 7, we have Gertrude Tokonu, JSC. And I'm sure now you are also very much aware of the legal representation by the petitioners and the respondents in this matter. If you are not, let me quickly take you through them. So the petitioners' lawyers are Chachuchi Kata Esquire, Tony Litha Esquire. Now the first respondents' lawyers are Justin Amenuvo Esquire, A.A. Somwa Asama Esquire, Miracle Atachi Esquire, Hope Agboado Esquire. Second respondents' lawyers Akutuan Paul Desheshi Esquire, Frank Davis Esquire, Kweku Esrifi Esquire, Yawapon Esquire. So these are the legal representatives of the parties who are, the parties in this matter. Bear in mind that everybody who goes to court needs a representation, and that is precisely what is happening here. Now, let me finally take you to the timelines. So what it means is that, and then we can now go back to the timelines. Good. The timelines, so now we are in day 21 of the process, okay? So it started on December 30th, where petitioners filed the petition, and moved to January 8th, 2021. Petitioners filed motion to amend their petition. January 9th, 2021, respondents filed their answers. January 14, 2021, motion to amend granted. Amendment time was given. January 15, 2021, deadline for respondents to respond to the amendment. January 19, 2021, Supreme Court, which is yesterday, wherefore the Supreme Court denied leave for petitioner to serve interrogatories, parties to file issues by 9:30 a.m. today. So we are in day 21. Day 21. Today will be day 22. Bear in mind that we are working with a timeline of 42 days. So my mathematics is not good, but if you take 22 out of 42, that should bring you to 20 days, isn't it? Now my mathematics is better. At least it's better than Jemensa. Anyway, that's just by the way. Now the pre-trial will be on 20th, so which is today. Pre-trial hearings will be today. My assumption is that examination in chief will be held today, perhaps, and all the way through to the 30th of January. So cross examinations and all of that will be included in this process, and the hearings will end on January the 30th, 2021, and the judgment by the court will be on the 10th of February, 2021. So that's where we are in respect of the court processes. My panelists are here seated, but I told you, the viewers, that I had something that I needed to do before they come in. But let me just introduce them. The indefatigable, affable, one and only member of parliament for Wa Central is here seated. Good morning to you, my big boss.
Good morning.
You see, the way you're always looking young, I need to find out what your secret is. You need to understand why. You're always looking young.
It's our Tozafi.
I mean, if Tozafi could save some of us, I'm sure I would be younger than you. I'm sure I'll be younger than you. And Dr. Kwame is also here. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
I trust you're doing well. You're looking sharp, Dr. Kwame. All right, and our very own national organizer of the CPP is also here seated.
That's right.
A man who is beginning to carve a certain niche for himself within the fraternity of CPP. Good morning to you, my brother.
I salute you.
And I love your butter curry. You can't compete. How can you compete with the Hassan himself? Now, for the purposes of education, I think it's instructive to do this. Now, coronavirus is on the surge, and you know that the world over, everybody's experiencing the second strain of the virus, right? Now, a lot of issues happened, and I am doing this primarily owing to the fact that I received 10 calls this morning. 10 calls. Everybody expressing worry about how students in the villages have been neglected. Students in the villages have not been given PPEs. Students in the villages do not have nose masks. And so it begs the question as to whether or not all the monies that government got, what those monies have been used for. I don't remember Dr. Rashid Pepe on the floor of Parliament raised this particular issue and requested that a proper accountability is given to the average Ghanaian. And I'm excited that he's here today. Perhaps he will aid this discussion with his depth of understanding of the issues. Now, what I do know is that a COVID fund was created. COVID-19 fund was created. A COVID tracker app was also created. We also got some financial relief from the UN. All of these monies, where are they? Where are the monies? How come that we've not been able to provide PPEs for our children? For our children to go to school. The decision to open the schools was not a knee-jerk one. It was a properly thought through decision that was taken by government, by Ghana Education Service. And so the question then becomes, why is it that we did not make available PPEs for these children so that they will be able to protect themselves from coronavirus? Now, let's watch a few videos. When I come back, I will explain to you what these videos mean, and then my panelists will get the opportunity to touch on this issue briefly. But what it is now, I can confirm to you that in most of the villages, and I don't want to mention specific schools, because the person who called told me that if they are not careful, they'll be victimized. All right? So they are afraid to mention specific schools. But he told me about Zebila, some places in Zebila, some places in what's the name? I told him to send me text messages. But particularly in the northern part of this nation and in the Volta region, the children do not have nose masks. And it's a recipe for disaster. Let's watch some of these videos to remind ourselves the commitment that government said it had, in respect of dealing with the pandemic when it first broke. So let's watch these videos. I'll come back shortly into the studio.
Times, and therefore we are required to act with dispatch in an extraordinary manner. We've been, ever since the crisis broke, especially in the course of the last week, we've been receiving a lot of offers of assistance. Some have already come forward and made important financial contributions. Others are calling to say they want to do so. How do they go about it? And I came to the conclusion that it was better for us to have some structured way where these monies can go. There have been offers even from abroad of Ghanaians and others from abroad who want all of them to get involved. So I felt that the best way was for us to establish a public trust, so that the monies that come don't get intermingled with government's monies and all of those problems. And a public trust which to be managed by an independent body of trustees. The people would see that their monies are being properly accounted for and properly deployed. So it was important that we should, first of all, constitute a group of responsible citizens of this country to constitute the Board of Trustees. And that is the basis for the selection of each and every one of you around this table. You're coming from very different aspects of our public life, from the world of religion, from the world of law, from the world of finance, media, business. You go across so many areas of our national life and have been put together for this exercise. Essentially to complement the efforts that the government and the state is making over this crisis, especially with a particular focus on the considerations that have to be borne for the needy and the vulnerable. Well, whatever monies we raise, that is a target. I'm going to leave to you and your own ingenuity the methods which you devise for that purpose. In so doing, you have to know that you will have the full support of the government machinery. There's anything that in the course of this work that is going to be done that you need the support, and you will obviously need it. You will need the support of government. Even after you've devised the formula for distributing the monies that you get, you will need the assistance of the state in order for that exercise to be effectively accomplished. So you have to know that that is something that you can take for granted, that the machinery of government will be aligned to be able to support you in the work that you're doing. I have full confidence in the integrity of all the people around this table and of your dedication to the public welfare of our country. And that is why I've chosen you to come and serve on this body. The Attorney General will by tomorrow complete the legal formalities for the establishment of a public trust. I think we'll be calling it the COVID-19 National Public Trust.
On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I really wish to thank you and for the confidence that you have.
We are here this morning on behalf of the General Overseer of the International Central Gospel Church, Reverend Dr. Mensa Otabil, the Presbytery, which is the executive board of the church, and the entire membership of the church, to present a check of 100,000 Ghana cedis to the COVID-19 National Trust Fund. We are pleased to support the effort of government seeking to ensure that the needy and the vulnerable are catered for. And so that is why we are here this morning.
The Chief of Staff, Akosia Fremont Parry,
the health service, fighting this battle at the forefront to be able to do our work faster, more efficiently, and more effectively to enable us chase the virus and take it away from our country. Our strategy has beginning with the situation of trying to track and chase the virus, contain it, and eventually find those who have it to trace them. We have been doing this work for the past few weeks, and we go to a stage where after several measures put in place, we need to continue to
right, so there you have it.
We are now
there you have it. These are some of the videos. The first one had to do with the inauguration of the COVID-19 Trust Board, okay? The board, the COVID-19 Fund Board, headed by former Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, Madam Sophia Ekufu. And the purpose of that fund was to assist government in fighting coronavirus. The question is, where is the money? How much was realized? How much did we get from all the contributions? I remember that banks contributed to this fund. Individuals contributed to this fund. Indeed, I recall, was it private schools or something? They contributed to this fund. Okay? So where is the money? How much of it has been spent? How much of that COVID-19 fund has been spent? How much of it is left? What did we spend the money on? We need answers to these questions. And it's not a joking matter anymore. It's not a joking matter anymore. Because the second strain of COVID-19 requires a lot of money. A lot of money. So we need to know how much we made from this COVID-19 fund that was created. How much of it did we spend, if we did? And on what did we spend those monies? Okay, and how much of the monies do we have left? How much do we have left? How much do we have left? And which bank is keeping these monies? We need to know. We must be accounted to. So it's important that we bring these issues out. Now also, Dr. Bawumia, in an attempt to create the impression that government was on top of issues in addressing coronavirus, they created a COVID-19 tracker app. The purpose of the tracker app was to help us self-test and to also help us isolate ourselves and go through the process when we had COVID-19, etc. That tracker, is it still working? How much did you spend on the tracker? Is it still working? What has been the use of that tracker? Are we still testing in this country? Are we doing mass testing? What is it? We need to know. We need to know. Nana Adodanko Akufo-Addo, we need some answers. So we need to know. Also, they said they were going to support private businesses because as a result of the COVID-19, most of the private businesses had collapsed. So they created a vehicle, NBSSI, to give monies to private companies to be able to shore them up. Which private companies were giving the money? What businesses were they engaged in? How much did you give to them? Have they been able to successfully use those monies? We need answers, because my understanding is that about half of those monies were used for election campaigns. I'm telling you that those monies that we said we're going to be giving to these private companies in order to shore them up were used for campaigns. So we need to find out which companies received those monies, how much did we give to those companies, and what did they use those monies for? We need answers, and definitely we will get those answers in this country, because in the villages, the children are not being given PPEs. The children are not being given hand sanitizers. The children don't even have water flowing through their taps in order to help them wash their hands. It's a problem, and we must speak to it. On the basis of that, I'm starting with you, Dr. Rashid Pelpu. Dr. Rashid Pelpu, I am scandalized this morning, and I'm sure you are too, because I've received 10 calls, and I'm sure I don't even want to count the number of calls you have received. People are calling me and saying, Kwame, you need to speak for us. Please, speak for us. Because in the villages, our children don't have PPEs. Look, what did we use all these monies for? And government is saying that, they are going to, in the end, import some COVID-19 vaccine. Sir, do you trust this whole process?
Well, good morning to our viewers, and especially those from the Upper West and West Central. Let me say that these are worthy questions you are asking, and I just hope and pray that Ghanaians should wake up to that responsibility of asking questions and demanding answers as to how their fortunes are blown away and how the states that we have handed power to is running the affairs of this country. At the beginning, you made reference to questions I asked on the floor of Parliament. I raised the question when we discussed the coronavirus and how it's affecting us, every Ghanaian. And I said that we have given government so much money. The IMF, through an arrangement, credit arrangement, sent $1 billion to the government of Ghana. $1 billion to the government of Ghana. The World Bank gave Ghana $100 million. IFAD gave Ghana $20 million.
Yeah.
The Bank of Ghana gave out 10 billion Ghana cedis. And you ask yourself, after taking all this money, plus donations by the public, what have they done with the money? Are they going to ask for new monies in order to manage the COVID upsurge? Because new cases are rising, a new strain has come, people are carried to the hospital every time, no testing has been done in mass scales, and we don't know what is happening. So we are asking the questions, what has government been doing with all these inflows meant to tackle the one debilitating disease emerging out of the rest of the world, China and Europe, and coming into Ghana and destroying the core of society? See the people dying. Those that are reported as being attacked by COVID, we hear them because they have big names.
Absolutely.
There are several others who are also dying, but who are not heard.
Absolutely.
You read Shakespeare, if you read Shakespeare, when beggars die, they are not commerce seen. But the death of princes is heard throughout the country. You see, it's not the exact quote. So, when the poor dies, you know. When the cream de la cream of society dies, you hear it blown out. So, when the death of princes blaze forth the skies, we hear that COVID is dangerous. But there's much more than what we are seeing today. And we want to see real action taking place. We want to see our students go to school provided with the personal protection equipment, so that we can be confident that inside that school, they're not coming home with COVID. Many parents can buy for their children these protection equipment. Many of them, like you are saying, in the far-off villages, who are going to mix with children they don't know, haven't met, or are meeting for the first time, teachers coming to see them after a COVID break, we don't know what they are bringing in, are not protected. So I do agree that, one, we need to do a thorough auditing of all the monies contributed in this country, external, outside of this country, into the kitchen to provide solace and to fight COVID. We need to do enough auditing about it so that we will see exactly what has happened. And we also need to do enough social editing to know exactly what the money has been used for and the impact of it on society. And then we need to then understand where we have gotten up to in the fight, so that we know what is left undone. Why are we not doing mass testing? So that at least people can stay in their houses. By the time they wake up in the morning, you are there, testing them, so they know their status. You can go to a whole community, target that we are in war. By the end of the month, we should have tested everybody. Because we've gotten enough money for that. And you don't know what their money is being used for. So I think we are joking with live wire And it's not out of place. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with it. For Americans to say that their citizens should not travel to Ghana.
To Ghana, yeah.
Because they think that there's so much happening here, but it's underreported. So they are afraid to have their citizens come to Ghana. And so we have to take a cue out of that and redouble our effort in tackling the coronavirus.
My fear is precisely that which you have expressed here. But my fear again stems from the fundamental issues that perhaps, whether it is deliberate or otherwise, we've now averted our minds to, which has to do with the reopening of the schools.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what scientific basis justifies the reopening of the schools, because as it stands now, the numbers are surging. And one would have thought that the wisest thing for anybody to do at this material moment was to just halt the reopening of schools, study the flow of, or the trend, of the infection rate, and then we can reopen the schools. I don't know the scientific justification. Now, these guys are in school. My younger brothers, my younger sisters, my cousins, my nephews, my nieces, they are in school. And you know how kids operate. So what we are going to do is that we will end up spreading the virus the more. And when you talk about these things, people, instead of hastening slowly, just jump on the bandwagon, and then they begin to politicize everything and say, oh, you, the way you are talking, I suspect you are NDC. You, too, the way you are talking, I suspect you are MPP. And then we end up playing political football with the issue, and we forget that the issue that is affecting us, which is coronavirus, is left unattended to. Why did we reopen the schools when we knew that there was a second strain which had hit the world over, and Africa was never going to be an exception?
Kwame, we have been on COVID break for nearly 1 year now. The question should not be why we are opening schools. The question should be, why has government not taken this 1 year to arrange the reopening of the schools so that it will allay the fears of fathers, parents, guardians, that there is something going to happen if they send their children to school? If they have done nothing about it, and people reopen, nose masks are not available, PPEs are not available, people go to school, teachers, I mean, that the point of complaint, even if you give government 2 years, they'll still do the same thing. So we should tackle why, after all these months, almost a year, they have failed to create a condition that will not allow people like me and you to say the things we are saying. To express the worry. They have done nothing like that.
Is it the wisest decision to take at this particular moment? Is it the wisest decision?
Definitely not. The reason being that we cannot be sure they have put in place an enough system that will protect the children. They have done nothing like that. I don't know of any such thing. I saw a journalist interview students yesterday, and children and teachers. Many of them were not in nose masks. And people who went there removed the nose masks later on. It means there's not enough education, there's not enough preparation, and the school is open to the dangers of exposure. So I think that because of government-owned failure, it was not time for them to have done what they have done. They should have done enough education, enough communication, enough provision of physical equipment that would have allowed us to be confident that in opening school, the children are protected.
What do you make of Kojo Okonkwome's assertion that Ghanaians are reckless? Which is why.
But that's a reckless statement. Maybe he's number one.
I was scandalized. Because you are the same person who has been communicating forward on behalf of government relative to some other, attending issues in respect of COVID-19, right? So I would have thought that you who were the head start, for instance, of educating people who will very inform the issues. You came to tell us that, we know how to fight the virus. In fact, we are ahead of the virus. You remember? He said we are ahead of the virus.
That's a lie.
But if you are ahead of the virus, when the virus is surging, then you would come and say that, it is not as a result of government's inability to address the issues, but it is the fact that Ghanaians are reckless. How can you think like that?
But that's unacceptable. And he should apologize to Ghanaians for making that reckless statement. That blanket statement of saying Ghanaians are reckless is unacceptable. And it's a reckless statement by itself. And it's an insult. Because the failure of government should not be equal to the recklessness of people.
Absolutely.
Or you cannot be attributed to the recklessness of people. You are giving a system to manage. You are giving society to manage. It has all the challenges of pluses and minuses there. That is why government, with a policy, cannot bring everybody together to focus us to achieve an objective. If you fail, don't blame the kinds of people you find in society. Blame the failure of policy.
Absolutely. Well, you can join in a conversation with your messages via our WhatsApp number, which is 02608465339. We're also streaming live on Facebook, facebook.com/Pan-African Television. I'm also on Facebook, Kwame Owusu Danso on Facebook, Kwame Owusu Danso on Twitter, Kwame Owusu Danso on Instagram. So you can follow the conversation there. Share with us what your thoughts are. Send your messages. We'll read the messages for you. Let me now come to Yurimambo Moses Ambing for your submission in respect of this matter before I come to Dr. Kwekumato. Or otherwise, hold on. Dr. Kwekumato, let me come to you first before I go to Yurimambo Moses Ambing. You are sitting close to me. Let me hear from you on this COVID-19. You are also a lecturer at UPSA. And yesterday, I saw the multitude of people who are queued for the purposes of registration. It's unacceptable. They were not observing any social distancing. Most of them were not in their nose mask. And you're happy. Are you or are you not?
Don't put me on the spot.
Generally, let's look at the general atmosphere in respect of this coronavirus and the reopening of schools and whether it finds expression in logic.
Yeah. So, good morning to our viewers. I think it's unfortunate some of the issues that are cropping up, we have to come and sit here and probably discuss them. And with your preamble to I can see you're on fire.
No, I mean, when it comes to the youth of this nation, I don't joke.
I know.
Because the survival of this nation, right, is shouldered by how vibrant the youth are. For me, I don't.
I know you're passionate about that, and you're passionate about things you believe in.
Absolutely.
And then, just as Honorable spoke earlier, I think there are some few issues I flagged in there. And yes, indeed, most of the issues you mentioned, and we need to look at them. So good morning, my colleague, panel members. Now, I think let's look at what happened. Let me just talk about the UPSA issue. I think we were trending. I think 2 days ago.
You were trending,
and that was unfortunate. I don't speak for my school, but as a member of management, it was something that happened by the security guys. So within some few minutes, it was rectified, and this will lead me to the next issue I wanted to talk about: whether we were prepared to reopen schools. I can tell you from where I sit that for the past few months, the government did not just ask that schools should be reopened. From where I sit, because there were a number of proposals that we have to send to government as to what we are putting in place to ensure that students will not be exposed to this dangerous virus. So for the past few months, we've been looking at providing the necessary PPEs on campus and also ensure that students will comply as and when they come. And to interest you, it's unfortunate we have to say this. And sometimes it's also good to tell the truth, okay? I didn't hear what the Minister of Information mentioned. If really he said that, then it was unfortunate. But I can also say that some Ghanaians, I mean, let's establish that caveat, that they don't really acknowledge the seriousness of this COVID, pandemic. People, and you are surprised to even acknowledge that there are some you call civilized who don't accept that the virus is real and that it's just some sort of theory to inure to the benefit of a section of society. And you are surprised to hear it from people of some repute, and it trickles down to even the youth, and then some youth, and then some children as well. It will interest you to know that Kwame, as a dean of a school, sometimes you are even compelled to direct that people should wear the mask before entering. And some will take offense for asking them to wear the mask, and you just can't understand. We have the attitudinal aspect of the whole thing, which we also have to address. And just as passionate that you have been all this while, sometimes I think you have to carry this news across. And I'm very happy that today we are all in mask. It's a demonstration of what we perceive this virus to be. Kwame, it's unfortunate, but I would say that there have been serious preparation towards the reopening of schools behind closed doors. And I don't know why probably they are not communicating. But most importantly, let's trickle down to our brothers and sisters and children in the hinterland. We don't really know what GES did with respect to the PPEs. The issue of exposing our children to the virus is something that we don't have to take for granted. And I'm happy that this morning you are on fire to really espouse your disappointment in what has happened so far. However, some institutional leaders must be held accountable at this point in time. Just as I mentioned, from where I sit, there has been numerous arrangements in the light of where I operate as a dean.
Right.
Before I resumed, I have to write to my vice chancellor as to what I've put in place for my students to come. There's a team in place checking. I can tell you that what happened 2 days ago was just a mistake.
Okay.
It's unfortunate.
Now let's go to the substantive issues. That really bothers me.
Yeah.
The fact that PPEs are not available for our young people in this country to be able to protect themselves from COVID-19.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think we had a president mentioning that PPEs will be sent to various schools. The first one, when we were coming earlier after the lockdown, PPEs were provided on campus. I even had one for free. Veronica buckets were provided by the government. I do not know whether it's been provided in the hinterlands with this second, strain. I mean, the second wave of the COVID. And if they are provided, in the adequate numbers, I would have all seen it. In our various schools, but it seems there's some deficiencies. You go to some schools, yes, indeed they are there, but others are not in there. But most importantly, Kwame, in as much as we are lamenting over the government's inability to also provide, we should also be looking at telling parents to also, some parents, to be a bit responsible. At least we know the economic empowerment of some of our colleagues in the hinterland. One city in Accra, which is insignificant to you, for some of them, it's a weekly income. So you don't expect some of these parents to be financially, sufficient to provide PPEs in the form of maybe nose masks for every children in some villages. That is where the government comes in. So we expect that the government should have made available all these PPEs to these parents as well as the children.
But the parents cannot afford them.
That's my argument. That's my argument.
Government said they were going to. Government was going to.
Yes.
PPEs for the kids.
That is it.
Government has failed to do that, and now they are shifting the blame.
No. But what I want to say is that you see, we need a compliment from the parents as well.
The parents don't have it.
No, Chairman.
They don't have it.
Chairman.
And you see, that is why.
Chairman, you see. Sometimes, Kwame, when you always assume that they do not have it, and we blow the trumpet that they don't have it, we also seem to make mistakes. You see, there's this sense of responsibility we expect from every parent that if for nothing at all, there's a virus that is so dangerous. Apart from even buying, okay, yes, indeed, we've condemned that. Government must move in as early as possible, immediately to address the issue, just as they have promised. But we need some responsibility from parents as well. Do your bit. Now, we are talking about the hinterlands. Even in Accra, where the income level is high, we expect that one cedi, you spend to buy a nose mask for your ward. It's a problem for you, and you go into some of these public schools. In fact, some of us were monitoring the whole thing. Go to Accra New Town. Where you didn't tell me, you can't tell me that the income level of Accra New Town, indigenous are quite low. You can't tell me that they cannot afford. It's not a matter of, for some people, it's not a matter of affordability. It's a matter of people not believing in the danger associated with this COVID. And we have to blow this trumpet for them to also understand. Just as we are asking the government to move in to also, do their bit, parents must also be called upon to take up that responsibility. Now, Kwame, let me address one other issue. I know how passionate you are with it, and I love you for that. Okay, probably where I come from, in academia, you are very particular with making statements, and we've disagreed severally, a number of times, on some of the statements. I've been following. I know very well. I think I heard Honorable asking for accountability in connection with the funding. The fund that was set up. Yes, indeed, we need accountability. But you made a statement that I think I flagged out. That has to do with you believe. I'm quoting you. Believe that some of the monies were used for campaign. Give me evidence. Kwame, how can you sit here and say you believe that monies were used for campaign?
Okay, I'll give you evidence.
And
hold on, I'll give you evidence. Because I know that the rice, for instance, that we provided, which rice was bought with some of the COVID-19 fund money for the purposes of distributing to Ghanaians. Were distributed at MPP party office in Cape Coast. Closer, my cousin. I was going to visit my cousin. My cousin said, Kwame, look at the rice, look at the oil.
And Kwame, what did you do?
You see, physical cash. Me, I was on the ground. Physical cash, they call it COVID money. They say that, they want to help businesses that were down. You sit down, they will come and list your names, and they will make sure they list MPP people's names. And then they were transferring money. Somebody will sit down, 8 million, 5 million, 10 million.
That's 800 Ghana cedis.
800 Ghana, 1,000 into their accounts. And we were worried. You say, how come the NDC people are not also getting the money?
But Kwame, apart from MBSSI, do you have any other agency that are distributing the COVID funds?
MBSSI.
That is it. And as far as I'm concerned, there's a process you have to go through, register, submit your document before you can be given that money. Now, please,
and I know that process, the requirements.
You see,
the requirements needed was only met by MPP.
No. I don't think in the requirement there was anything like MPP activists or sympathizers that you need to show before you can be given that money.
I'm
very particular with it because you see, we know, I also know some young entrepreneurs who also have affiliation and sympathy towards the opposition party. They went in there and had the money.
Evidence.
And there was
evidence.
and there was even one instance that even was published by media that there were some NDC activists who were saying that the money is being given to NDC activists. So that is enough to even tell you that the MBSSI could not be so biased towards the MPP sympathizers. Okay. So you see, there could be, there could be cases, instances, and I always say this. I also admonish you that, Kwame, you see, we need to see this on the screens. Let's show evidence that, look, I have this young man who went in there. They didn't give him the money because he said he's an NDC activist or he doesn't support MPP. We take it on as Ghanaians. And that is what we expect the media to. No, I always say that probably because of my background, coming from academia, where we are so restricted to speak based on evidence, academic evidence. If you don't have it, then it is just, the normal, charts, the normal conjecture. I always, just as you mentioned, there was a day we came here, we spoke about the State of Nation address given by the president. And within a very short period of time, we received calls that, look, even here, there are loads of tomatoes coming in. That is enough evidence from the people. Okay, these are some of the things I really want. I didn't know you had any evidence by saying that you believe in. No, that was not belief. So if you are telling me that you knew people who had evidence that the money was used for ABCD, that's no more belief. You have moved from belief to real facts. Okay,
so you think that for those of the kids who are in the hinterlands, and you started your conversation by saying that for those of the people who live in the villages, 1 Ghana cedi that we don't value here is and you are saying here that parents of those children, parents of those children must provide PPEs for them when you know that they don't even have the money to provide.
I didn't say that.
No, but that's the cracks of what you're saying.
I even linked it back to even Accra.
Yeah, but we're referring to Accra. People may be able to provide them, but even in Accra, so most people do not have money to buy PPEs. I'm telling you.
No. Oh, I admit that.
Absolutely.
That is where I advance that argument.
No, it's government's responsibility. Look, government charges $150 at the airport for coronavirus testing. What do they use those monies for? What do they use those monies for? You see,
we have been following.
Unless you do not want to protect your citizens. If you want to protect your citizens, every amount of money that you make from COVID-19 must be pushed back into the system to ensure that the people are safe.
I agree with you.
So if you charge $150, if you convert, that's about 800 Ghana cedis.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Are you saying that because when I bought my nose pad, the full box, it was 20 Ghana cedis? Are you saying that 800 Ghana cedis cannot even buy as many as, my mathematics is not good, but 40 pieces?
It can buy
40 pieces.
It can buy more than that.
Exactly. The 40 pieces can't be distributed to the villages.
Oh yeah.
So this is even one. 150. How many people have we taken 150 and dollars from?
And no, you see,
if
you are, this is a little bit.
Come on, our villages. Come on.
No, I get you right. Yes, indeed.
Even if they wanted to buy in the villages, they don't even know where to go and buy it. Precisely. Come on.
Oh, no. You see, my brother, don't maybe probably misquote me. I really advance the argument that look, in the hinterland, financially they are not economically empowered.
That's right.
In terms of their annual or daily income, most of them don't need money because they have fresh crops. They eat from the market. We have gotten to a stage that the government needs to provide for all these people. I only came in with the instance given in Accra that comparatively, those in Accra could have done better in terms of acquiring the PPEs for their wards. Showing that responsibility, expecting that responsibility and expectation from parents as well to help the system. Now, Kwame, the government has no excuse, actually, to be frank with you. They have no excuse to say that they will not provide PPEs for those of our brothers and sisters in the hinterland whose income. And I think within this period of COVID, let's also credit the government with some of their stimulus packages. Okay. I mean, they've also done something. You can't call it a failure, in the sense that a number of packages have been even given to those who could afford. Okay. The assumption is that even water is being given for free to help some of us in here. I mean, in Accra.
I'm not connected to I'm not. This one is a personal experience.
Okay.
So I don't have free water.
Maybe it's
the light, I don't have free light.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
okay.
You buy.
Maybe you consume too high. So
I don't consume.
Some of us who don't have ACs in our various rooms.
No, but we
are able to meet the subsidized rate, you know.
Okay. So anyway, I got your analysis. All right, let me come to you now.
Yes.
You remember, let me remind viewers that still to come. Election petition, Supreme Court dismisses Mohammed's application, and President reduces ministries to 29. Defeated ministers won't be reappointed. We are going to be touching on this particular story. It's very important. I didn't know that we could actually work with only 29 ministers in this country. hopefully we'll be like Singapore and China, where they work with 23 ministers, 25 ministers, and things like that. So still to come, these are the issues. But for those of you who are on Twitter, just follow me on Twitter at Kwame Owusu Danso. If you're also on Instagram, follow me on Instagram at Kwame Owusu Danso, and on Facebook, Kwame Owusu Danso. You know, I lost my Twitter account. I had a lot of following, but I lost the old one, so I've created a new one. So guys, follow me so that we can chit-chat on that platform as well. Let me say a special good morning before I come to you, remember, to Dr. Tony Edu, who's watching us this morning. Doc, good morning to you, sir. I trust you're doing well. And also Raj of RMP Oil, you're also watching. Alaji Kasule, you're also watching. Alaji Baba Seidu Isifu, you're also watching. Good morning to all of you. And to the chairman of KEA constituency, good morning to you, Chairman Untumi Kweku. You are watching this morning. Good morning to you. And I trust that you are doing very, very, very well. Let me now, I think somebody sent me a message. Let me see if I would find that message. It's okay, where is it? Where is it? Okay, but before then, let me also remind you that Dr. Ajakufi of Shekinah Herbal will be, today is Wednesday, so he will be at Ho, opposite KK House, and on Thursday he will be at Agotome, near Deeper Life Church. Dr. Ajakufi, you know that he's the CEO of Shekinah Herbal, and they deal in all manner of diseases. They deal with all manner of diseases. So please kindly call him on 0244 941 428. 0244 941 428. He will deal with all your health issues for you. Call Dr. Ajakufi on 0244 941 428 this very, very morning. Also, a special good morning to you. You are watching us, Adam Bona, who's a security expert. You are watching this morning. Good morning to you. And a special good morning to Ewenam, my very good friend Ewenam, who got married recently. Congratulations to you. I couldn't come for the wedding, so you're upset with me, but congratulations to you. And you are watching. Hello, good morning to you, and I trust that you are doing well. Let me now come to you, Yidemambo Moses Ambing, on this subject matter. Sir, please.
Okay. A very good morning to your cherished viewers. Very good morning to my comrades all over the country. And my condolence goes to senior comrade Kwesi Pratt and the entire Pratt family. May the good Lord grant them strength through these times. Kwame, this fight against COVID-19, we lost it around June, July last year. Right? Even though there were steps being put in by the government to make sure that at least we can, reduce the scale of the spread. When the political season started popping up, that was when they realized that no, we need to go out and solicit for votes. So if you could remember, they had their conference because we were all indoors. We didn't even know how to go and engage the people. So they started, they showed leadership, and they had their conference around July thereabout. And we said, okay, then if you have opened the floodgates, then let's go. That is where all other political parties started doing their political activities. And we keep on forgetting. I don't know, during the campaign, if you saw videos of how people were crowded meeting the president and other presidential candidates. Kwame, that is where we lost it. We forgot, as a senior Kwame said, we went on break. We went on break because of this election. And Kwame, I thought we were going to pay badly for it. When we go to the people, and we are even engaging the people, there was no way they were even telling them they should put on their mask. All the videos you will see with the rallies that were done in 2020, you don't see any candidate telling the people that put on your mask, or at least practice what we call the social distancing. Nothing of that sort was done. So the break that we went on during the political campaign season is going to come back to haunt us greatly in this country. Now, talk about the COVID fund. Doc was maybe struggling to, explain the point that some people also benefited. Okay, Doc, this is point. Let me show you how it works. Okay, so they said there was a COVID fund, right? Of course, naturally, they will have a mixture where they will say yes, some people will go through, but their priority, I can tell you, were their party members. Why am I saying so? They created a list, or they started putting up lists together at their district level or their constituency level. So if you know any of their executives, you go to the where write your name. That you want this, you state elected, they'll tell you to go apply, as you said. You go through the mail, as you said. But they have a special list which they have names on. And that list is sent to NBSSI. Then there's another tool where everybody can apply. It will interest you to know. All the lists that went through the constituency offices, they don't have their monies. That is why we are saying that these are things, maybe because you are not in the flow of politics, you don't know what is happening. That is what they did. And most of them have very juicy amounts. And it's like, if you're not careful, these are things that these are amounts that they're supposed to pay back in due time. But because of politics, we might lose the amounts. Because they feel that, I've also gotten 5,000, 10,000. That is my share. And some of them, when they got it, that is what we are sharing. It's my money here. You understand? So there is no way they're going to even invest it into any business. So all this money, 600 million Ghana cedis, equivalent to about $100 million. I'm telling you, we cannot even retrieve about 10 million. I'm telling you. Because they feel that it's their entitlement. It's not like government is trying to show you up so that you can do your business and maybe in due time, 4 or 5 years, you can pay less. They feel that is their entitlement and that is it. Which is very bad. So I can see that this investment, this 600 million, this investment we've done, we will lose majority of this money. Now, we understand there was another 2 billion guarantee facility to support businesses, pharmaceuticals, and private schools. My very emphasis is on the private schools. If you could write, last year the private schools were going helter-skelter, crying. Now for almost 1 year now, they have been at home. So government should support them with relief packages. Yes, we understand government supported some pharmaceutical companies, yes. But the private teachers, what happened to them? So I'm surprised today I'm reading that the president is saying that they get 2 billion facility to pharmaceuticals and private schools. Because none of the private schools association have come out to attest to this fact that yes, we've gotten something to support our schools. None. So this is a very worrying trend. You see, people will ask, when this whole thing started, they told us they're going to follow the science and the data. Okay, science and data is showing that, yes, we are going up and up and up. So it beats people's imagination. As the numbers keep on increasing, do we have what it takes to let our kids go to school? Judging from how kids behave in school. You know how they are. They can even share marks. They don't care. Primary school, upper primary, they can do that. It is going to be very difficult controlling them in school. And the teachers, not even the teachers, before they even, from the house to the school, that period, whether they are in trouble, whether they are working, the kind of activities that will go on before they get to school is another thing altogether. So, in our minds, I was thinking, okay, yes, if we think it's going to really affect our education calendar, the human life is more important. But if we still really want to open the schools, why don't we start with an approach that, yes, we have maybe 500 people in the school, we divide them into 2. Monday to Tuesday, first batch goes. Wednesday, Thursday, the other batch goes. So at least if there's 500, at every given time, you have only 250, half of the school population in school. I think it's a better deal. Then maybe when they go to the class, there are 40 people in the class, then you have 20. They can space out. But what are we seeing? We are still seeing the same numbers. Some of the public schools, there are 50 in the class. You see the decks how they are joined together. There's no social distancing. So, in fact, I find it very difficult, to understand actually what we are doing. Seriously, you don't need to go to school. Let's find a better way of doing the arrangements. Because now some of the public schools, some of them they close at 12 p.m. So if that is so, why don't you give them the full day? Then divide the classes. So that's 25 or 20 people per class. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the rest come. Then Friday, you can even leave it out. So at least we can cover bit of the syllabus in due time. But we fail to do that, Kwame. And it's very worrying. Extremely worrying. Because we are putting the life of our children at risk. We are telling the parents that and the children that, Charlie, manage your own self. Whatever happens, we have done our part. Meanwhile, we have refused to even provide what it takes for the children to go to school. The PPs, the liquor buckets, all the districts, they are complaining that we've not received our items. So if you wanted to even do the distribution, do the distribution. After everybody has gotten his part of the of the PPEs, then you can then reopen the schools. But you don't reopen, then you are not sending the items. Who does that? So in fact, that is the confusion in my mind. I don't understand what kind of arrangement we are doing as a country. It goes back to say that, look, I'm hearing that we are trying to get some vaccines. When this thing broke out, we said, look, let's assemble our best. We have researchers in this country. Let them come together because we understand the virus, it behaves differently in different conditions and other things. So maybe what the Europeans are doing, the research they are doing into how they're going to get their vaccine, may be different from ours. So why don't you allow our researchers to come together, not even Ghanaian researchers, pull West Africa, African researchers together and say, okay, let's look at the African condition. Let's look at how the virus operates in Africa and see whether we can develop something for our own. Why should we always be dependent? We have the best of researchers and scientists here in Africa, which are some of them in America, they are using their services. So sometimes it hurts me. The African leaders cannot even have a conference call and say, look, for this vaccine, let's have a second look at it. Let's put our best human resources together. Let's give them time to go into the vaccine and see what they can do for we, the Africans.
Makes a lot of sense.
Tell me, Natasha, this battle against COVID-19, we've lost it since last year. We are continuing losing the battle, and I don't see the way clearly for us as a country. The government totally out of place.
All right. Thank you. Your member says government is totally out of the game in respect of fighting coronavirus. Now, let me introduce the other topics so that we also, discuss them. Well, I'm sure we'll touch on the Supreme Court issue. We'll deal with it as our last topic. But President has reduced ministries to 29. Defeated ministers won't be reappointed. One thing is clear. This 8th Parliament is very unique. This 8th Parliament is very unique. It's a novelty. We have never seen anything like this ever before. I mean, the last time we were close to something like this was, I think, during Liman's regime, where even though Liman was the Prime Minister, he had, the President, he had his ministers, but, we had two other opposition parties in Parliament. So the two other opposition parties together meant that they had, what's it called? They had majority, So I think that's the last time we came close to something like that. But this one is distinct in its own right. 137 at this moment, because MDC is still challenging some of the results in court. 137 plus one independent candidate. Yes, the independent candidate has indicated that he will be doing business with the NPP. It still does not naturally, listen to my words carefully, naturally translate to the NPP being majority in Parliament. It doesn't naturally translate. I mean, of course, in terms of voting, yes, it may have some, some advantage, right? But as it stands now, it's 137 candidate. Okay. So this Parliament is very unique. Now, the President is saying that he's reducing the ministries to 29. Then it begs the question, is it because they don't have majority in Parliament? Therefore, they need all their members of Parliament to be in Parliament so that in the event that voting has to happen, all the members of Parliament will be present.
Well, that'll be very interesting.
I'm just asking. Is it because that they do not get majority in parliament, so they have to tread cautiously? You know, they have to. Politics is science. Politics is very scientific. If you are not careful, you won't understand some of these dynamics. Because they don't have majority. So when it comes to voting, and maybe there's a Minister of Foreign Affairs who also doubles as a member of parliament, and he is somewhere in Kazakhstan, and they are voting, he won't be around. So it will go against them. And the NDC will always win. So now they have to be very strategic. So is it the reason?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm only asking. I don't know. But you know, maybe you know. Maybe you want to.
Maybe a very good political strategy.
But the president finally has reduced ministries to 29. I'm surprised. I don't know the rationale behind this.
29.
He was very insistent.
Yes, that the numbers.
Attempts to ask the president to draft the numbers proved futile.
Precisely.
And absolutely, now the president was acting like a dead goat. Listening, the three monkeys. Evil, say no evil. So he was not here.
That's right.
He stuck to his guns and increased the numbers. But the point is that. I love my country, Ghana. No, if you're not smart, no, because the guy, he's not a smart man. He's some. No. If I live on another, I should probably.
It was problems.
You smell.
Give my attention to. It's a very good political strategy. Very given time. Now when there is an important day before parliament, you have to get the numbers. So what do you do to always get the numbers? Meaning that you have to find some limited number of people to be part of your time. When there is even a bill, they can for them to come and vote on the bill. I think it's a good political strategy. Seriously. I would have done same. But the numbers, even for me, still 29. Well, I still feel 29 is still on the high side. Ministries, meaning that even if they all have only one deputy, it means that we are doing 29, 59, 58. It means we are doing 58, which is not even going to be the case because some of them are going to have 2 deputies. So still we'll even go beyond the 58. We were saying that at least, I said, let's put 25 ministries and we get 50, each one having 1 deputy. But still, the way I'm seeing the numbers, I believe that we might cross a 60. Yes, we'll cross a 60. And the defense they made in their first term, that they need the numbers, that some of the ministries will not be relevant. When you look at the ministries that were scrapped, I think it is that of Danso, the reorganization, which you say that yes, these are ministries that yes, we've created the regions, so it can be resolved. But the rest,
I'm learning that Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs may be scrapped. Zongo Ministry. You remember the very Zongo ministries that Mustafa had been used to?
Precisely.
It will be scrapped. Office of the Senior Minister, Yamutu. Planning Ministry, Yamutu. And a few others.
Okay.
Also, I don't know whether the Procurement Ministry will still be there.
That one has been the procurement.
But you see, then it begs the question: why were these ministries created in the first place?
Because only one that will tell business is a reorganization. Business development is all fair.
Business, yes.
Zongo, it can be under local government.
Absolutely.
We said this, and they said no. We don't want to give it prime importance.
Was it job for the
mean that Zongo is not more important?
Was it job for the boys?
Come on, it doesn't add up. You see, so all these ministries we said it. Planning, it was under finance. He said no. We want to take planning to stand on its own. So sometimes you can't just understand how our leaders think. It's very difficult, seriously, because we raised these concerns and they told us that no, we need to give these prime areas some importance so that we can work and build a nation. Now, 4 years down the line, are you telling us that there was no need for those ministries?
I think that, you see, that's why I said that maybe when it gets to Dr. Rashid proposed, maybe he will help advance this argument for me. But I think that, you see, it is more like giving somebody a company to run.
Yes.
At the end of the day, the person must account to the board of directors of the company. We Ghanaian citizens are the board of directors of business.
That's right.
The ministries must not just be scrapped. We must find out what they did in that ministry.
Well,
because you see, oftentimes it's become like a cliche. Oh, we create one, we dissolve it, nobody cares, right? But now, I think that we must subject them to strict scrutiny. We must put the feet of government to the fire of accountability, such that all those ministries that were created, which ministries we tried to prevent its creation, must be accountable. Now let's take them one after the other. Ministry of Business Development.
Yes.
What's his name? Honorable Awal Mohammed.
Yes.
That ministry.
Yes.
That ministry, what has it done?
In fact, I recall that ministry was the one in charge of people sending proposals. I don't know if I can remember. People sent proposals to that same ministry seeking for funds to establish their businesses. And they were supposed to support small businesses growing up to also develop into big conglomerates. That was what we were supposed to do. As at that time, we felt that MBSSI, they could have done same, because it's just giving them more powers and giving them more scope to work with. So if you tell them, okay, yes, I'm going to give you some special funding, make sure that we are going to encourage indigenous Ghanaian businesses, encourage them, let them bring their proposal, vet it, then maybe every year give most of them, maybe some of them, $10 million, because that was what they were doing, the business development. If I could recall last year, that was what they were doing last 3 years. You see, so MBSSI could have done the same job. It's just about widening the scope of the operations and giving them the power to do so.
Were they able to execute it effectively? It's not just about what they were doing. You see, what was the outcome of what they did?
Well, the only outcome I remember is that every year they supported indigenous businesses with
which one?
Well, maybe I can't on the spot mention, but I will recall reading that the supporters and every year they made like they did something we call, what's the name, where people go to compete with ideas, as in business ideas and innovation, so that they will vet whoever wins or the winners for that year.
Is it the job bank or something bank?
Business incubation.
Business incubation.
So that's what we were doing. For all I know, I can't remember them doing anything otherwise. This is what I knew they were doing. And every year they were awarding some indigenous businesses with amounts of money. Some even go as much as 1 million Ghana cedis and even more. You understand? And I'm saying that this thing is not unique in any way. It could have still been done by the state institutions that we had earlier. So it's nothing unique for me. We raised these arguments, don't go and all those things. We could have incorporated them or made them authorities or something. So if you say you scrap
local government ministries, you could have Zongo under it.
That is it. So look, I remember we made this argument strongly. Our brothers on the other side, Saka and Co, were here defending that yes, they wanted to give prime reporters to those ministries. 4 years down the line, are you telling us they are now irrelevant? You see? So in fact,
okay. Well, I understand that we need to go to the courtroom because yeah. But Dr. Rashid Popo, let me quickly take your let me take your reaction to this issue.
I think today the people of Ghana have spoken. They are informing governments that they don't want them to take an unwilled, an unkempt number of ministers, the biggest in the whole world, 125. We don't want it. And the NDC side of parliament has already served notice to the government that any number of ministers above 70 will not be accepted. From 125, come down to 70 or below. That 29 ministers means much more than you are seeing.
Okay.
Remember that when Atamils came, he cut down the ministries to